redo all of the
with
HVAC. We had to
really
redo
small
the
nuclear
roof
reactors.
because we did it
Bill
cheap.
Gates built
Well,
Donald
and that's why
Trump.
my vote in IT is.
You gotta believe
Maybe
that
now
Jamie
I'm paying a
Grissom
lot
was-
less. Like,
Got more money than Trump.
and I had a boss one time. I said, I was asking, he said, oh, we don't need to worry about it. I said, that's what wakes you up in the morning.
Was in my law school class,
Yes.
and it became a.
Because I can
woman.
guarantee you,
Okay,
I had an air conditioning, you would go out and my
We voted
data
him
center
most
up and
like
it was a small data center.
really?
What room?
Yeah, it was the first person.
Air
in our
conditioner
class to
broke,
take part.
and we had to put fans at the doorway.
Out and
Yeah.
I guess it's.
Okay, being 10:52 on Friday, January 16th of 2026, I would like to call the Jobs Committee to order.
Bates,
Thanks here.
Hennessy,
Hannes is here.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Young,
Here.
Allen,
Alan Frozen.
Lewis.
Lewis here.
Um,
Would like to ask for permission for Mr. Pennises and Ms. Strathman to join us remotely.
No problem.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome. Then next I need approval of the minutes from November 14th, 2025.
States would ask for unanimous consent to accept those.
Any corrections, additions, subtractions? Okay, so be it. All right, no public comments? Okay. We do have visitors today that are doing a presentation. Do you want to?
Yep, I would like to introduce the team from the Northern Kane County Regional Vocational System. They're here to present. They were here, I can't believe it was end of 2024, so this is a follow-up presentation.
Well, good morning. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. I want to start off by saying I apologize for the mix-up back in November. We were trying to find the date, and there was a mix-up in the dates. We were supposed to come in and talk. And then, unfortunately, Todd and I were out at the national conference last month presenting there on some of this work. So this morning, my name is Terry Stroh. I'm the director for the Northern Kane County Regional Vocational System. You've all been given a copy of the presentation, as well as I know the slides are up there as well. We want to kind of go through an update and talk about how do we partner together on more of this work. Last year was really kind of a touch base, an introduction. Now we want to look to move forward and how do we work together with all the different facets of county government in order to expand this program and get more students involved. So like I said, this morning I have Todd Stern, Dr. Todd Stern. He's our work-based learning specialist for Northern Kane County. I joke that he's failing at retirement because he was a retired superintendent, now working with me on workforce development with all of our high school students. I also have Nancy Coleman, Executive Director of Alignment Collaborative for Education. We're going to kind of take turns and go through some different pieces here this morning, and then be more than happy to take questions from any of you as we're going through things. So the introductions, I'm going to bring Nancy up to the microphone here to talk a little bit more about Alignment Collaborative.
Good morning, everyone. It is great to be back with you today. We are here mainly to give you an update on the progress of this collaboration. Again, I always clarify that Alignment is a 501c3 organization started or born in Elgin and then spreading to 3 other school districts now. So we serve U46, 300, 301, and 303. But again, as we said, this is probably a great example.
Can you tell us those school districts?
Yes.
Where they're
yes,
at?
yeah,
Okay.
Okay, yes,
It's
and
not
I'll
everyone-
slow down because every now and then, if you don't know numbers, you're not sure where all of that is. Okay, so basically U46, many of you are familiar with, that stretches all the way from Bartlett to Streamwood to South Elgin to Elgin. There are 5 high schools there. And then you have District 300, which stretches up to Carpentersville and Algonquin, which is Dundee, Crown, Hampshire, and Jacobs. So that's so we got a good bit of geography. 301 is also very interesting, and that is the school district that Todd actually was superintendent at for several years. 301 is the area where Elgin seems to be growing the most. Okay, so that area, most of the students that are in 301 are also Elgin residents. And then 303 is our latest addition, and those are the 2 high schools in St. Charles. So we have spread to match, and we did this strategically for a reason. Those are the areas that Northern Kane County Region 110 covers. And so we matched up those school districts to be sure that we had full alignment there. So let's talk a little bit about our role in all of this. Be sure I'm clicking the right thing. Oh, wait, no, went the wrong way. Okay. Let's talk about why this is important. It has taken a while. I will tell you, when I got there 7 years ago, we were struggling to sell this concept. It was sort of Mayor Captain's dream to have something like this, because one of our biggest criticisms in the Elgin area about industry wanting to expand there was the quality of the workforce and being sure that there was a well-educated and trained workforce. And what they continued to look at were the performance of the schools, and worried about how that was going to feed into that whole workforce development picture. So our role was to come in and serve as the facilitator between the school district and the business community. So at this point, we have built our partnership base to over 250 business and community partners. We cover at this point at least a dozen industry clusters. So everything from healthcare to engineering to architecture to almost anything that you can think of that would be a career. We also are focused on teacher pipeline, because we all know if we don't have teachers, we don't have any professions. So that is a big one for us. And we are continuing to grow. We used to have to convince people and sell people to be part of this. We are no longer having to do that. We are having people call us, which is a wonderful change in how we started everything. If you look at our progress, I think this tells more than anything else does about the progress. We served over 15,000 students last school year. Now, this was as of June of 2025. The volunteer hour commitment by all of those business community partners was over 13,000 hours, valued right at just under $900,000. I am really pleased to tell y'all that that number is already at 17,000 for this school year, and we've still got a whole, most of a second semester to go. So a lot of growth there, and you'll hear about that later. A lot of that growth in volunteer hours is this internship program, and you'll see more about that in just a bit. One other thing that we have picked up, which I really didn't want to pick up, but we needed the funding. We picked up, United Way Metro Chicago approached us about establishing an Elgin neighborhood network. If you're familiar at all with Chicago, they take some of their most challenging areas and put neighborhood networks into them. It happened to come to us because it was a NICOR donation. So we have worked really hard to maximize the use of that money for career development, but we also are looking at the mental health of youth. That continues to be a problem, and their wellness, and being sure they're ready for careers. Because we can train people in almost any career, but it's very difficult if that other piece is not there. So that's why we are also focusing on youth mental health and wellness as part of this whole process. And we're really pushing the school districts. One of the primary jobs of alignment is to push those school districts. So I can't tell you I'm the most popular person there, but we try really hard to support them and keep pushing them on the things that the business community is asking them to achieve. And that is, as y'all know, that is not a small job. They do not move at any comparison of speed to the business community. So it's always a fine balance here. You can push to a certain point, and then you got to support, and then push and support. So that kind of gives you an overview of where we are and where our progress is. And then I'm going to turn it over to Todd to kind of, let's go to you first, to CTE pathways, and then we'll take you through the rest of the slides.
And thank you to Nancy. And this work could not be done without the partnerships that we have with Alignment Collaborative, with our business partners across the community. And how do we work with those school districts? So as the director for Northern Kane, my job is to work with all the school districts. So 4 school districts, 11 high schools, I think 15 or 20 different middle schools and all the elementary programs on all things career and technical education. For many of us, we would think of that as shop class when we were in high school. And how has that expanded to be beyond that? Or, the culinary programs where we looked at it as home ec before in the past. So this has really grown by leaps and bounds over the last couple of years here with all of that in mind. And what we look at, so my job is to be the manager of all the grant dollars, both federal and state grant dollars for career and technical education. Right now, our total budget is just under about $3 million to support all those career tech ed programs. And this is curriculum, this is building internship programs, this is trying to do workforce development and trying to find as many partners as we can. That's our goal. Is we can't do all the work ourselves. My office is an office of 2 people. There's Dr. Stern and myself. So we need community partners to do this work and get all this done. Why is it important? Well, it's important because the chart here, the number of businesses that have now stopped advertising levels of education on their job descriptions has decreased again. We hear all the time from business partners that they just want a warm body. They want someone who's going to show up. They want someone who is going to be coachable and trainable. Well, our job is to try to find the right students from our high school programs to fit those needs. And how do we do that within all of that? So when we look at this, this is probably the most important reason right here. Across not only our region, across individual high schools, but across the nation, students that are involved in career and technical education programs are graduating high school at higher rates. Well, if they're graduating at higher rates, we're having more proficiency than students who are not. And they're involved in a program that's going to give them a job skill, whether it's advanced manufacturing, it's automotive, it's our engineering programs, it's our culinary programs, our business and finance programs. All of those lead into this. So here you can see for school district U46, the rate of graduation for African-American students is over 10% higher if they're involved in a career tech ed program. This is not just creating more graduates. This is closing the achievement gap amongst all our different demographic groups. So how do we continue to do that and have students that are coming out of high school programs, whether they choose to go to a community college, they could choose to go to university, a trade school, whatever, but they have to graduate that college or that high school program first before we can move them on with that. How is this impactful? We talked a little bit about this when we were here last year. The average cost for a high school dropout is roughly $292,000. By our calculations, we are having more students graduate high school. So for our region, it's about $2.5 million per year that's staying within our community. We don't have to pay out for social services. As a county piece, it's more taxpayers in the county. They're going to work, they're staying in the county, they're staying in our communities. How do we continue to build that where we're saving money overall by not having to provide those social services? By educating our students about the fact that getting involved in a good career field early on is going to help build their retirement. Right now, the average age of a community college student is between 25 to 29, roughly. Well, for students, that's 10 years of lost wages. That's 10 years of lost growth by putting into a retirement account. So our work is really focused on how do we take students from our high school programs into these internship programs we're going to talk about, but then also into apprenticeship programs, into careers coming right out of high school, and then having the support to go and get that extra education that they need. So we have community partners right now that are willing to take our high school students and actually pay for them to go to college. But how do we get them that experience overall in that? And how do we build partnerships with our community partners? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Right now, though, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stern to talk about our summer internship program and the growth we have seen over the last couple of years in that program. So thank you.
Good morning, board members. Thank you for having us here today. So I know that both as a county board and as school districts, we all have accountability measures that are related to grant dollars and related to policy and procedures that are established by the state and local area. So our region, we function under the Illinois the Illinois State Board of Education. And part of that is they've developed college and career pathway endorsements that if a student completes certain criteria, they get this endorsement added to their diploma. There was a time, as was mentioned earlier, that career tech education was just considered like shop classes. But career tech education is for all students. They're for students going to college and students maybe that aren't going to college. Because in our 10 pathways, which you're going to see, we have areas of healthcare and engineering. We also have areas of automotive and diesel and welding. We have areas of culinary. So we have areas of media and using AI. So it really covers a plethora of areas. A part of what the state requires is a work-based learning component that is a minimum of 60 hours of real-life work-based learning experience embedded with a community partner. So our veterinary tech students are not just working at a Petco or something like stocking shelves. They're actually working in veterinary clinics with the veterinarians, with the techs, learning those type of skills that they're going to put into use. So something that we're very, very proud of is the growth of our summer internship program. And you know that all of this work runs at the speed of relationships, and relationships run at the speed of trust. So we've developed really strong, trusting relationships with our business partners across Northern King County. And what you can see here is phenomenal growth. We went from 52 paid summer interns to last summer having 243 paid summer interns, completing at least a minimum of 60 hours of paid summer internships. Some of these internships are covered by the company. Some of these internships are covered by grants and by other donations from our supporting partners. So our goal for this summer will be 300 paid summer interns. Now, what I'd like to share with you is when you think about your return on investment, we have a very clear upward growth metric for return on investment. In this time period, we've grown by over 350% in our internships, and we continue to grow. Here you can see the 10 pathways that we fill with summer internships, and we're developing new ones all the time. Currently, we're working together with our partners to develop an internship under IT technology that's related to AI. This would be where there would be some self-learning, learning with industry experts, and then our interns would work with companies either on a process basis for improving function using AI, or they would be working with business and marketing plans and enhancing them using that, because that's something that's not going to go away. And that's something that we need to embrace and teach the ethical use of. What you can see is even from last year to this year, we've grown by 66% in the number of summer internships. And again, we couldn't do this without everyone's partnership. There are 54 education for employment regions in the state of Illinois. So Region 110 covers Northern King County. Our partner Valdez covers Southern King County. We work in partnership with them. We support the school districts in St. Charles, U46, District 300 and 301, but we also work with our partner districts to the south in Southern King County as well. What you see represented in this pie chart is percentage of students who have successfully completed their summer internship by their high school area. These are going to be our future ready leaders, and they're ready to assume, come back and work because they've developed relationships with these companies. And we're hoping to keep them as leaders in their family, in their community, and in their vocation. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Alignment and to Nancy Coleman.
Yes.
Did you say that fewer employers are asking for levels of education on their, or more?
On Indeed, what a study that Indeed sponsored, it was not our study, study by Indeed, when they're looking for postings, they're showing a decrease in employers putting certain criteria on there because employers are looking for future ready employees that either have the durable skills, and then if they have some components of some skill sets, then they will develop them. There's such a shortage of skilled workforce out there right now.
Thank you.
Good question.
So let's talk a little bit about what this means to young people. Just this program alone had 55 organizations host last year. You've seen the date on the 243. internship opportunities. We basically put in students' pockets last year over $240,000. Why is that important and why did we fight so hard for paid internships? It's because that's the world they live in. You got to motivate students to perform, and you also have to hold them accountable to perform. That's very difficult if an internship is not paid. There's certain objectives they have to achieve in those 60 hours, and we want to be sure they're doing that. So how did we come up with that 240,000? We have been most fortunate. Elgin Community College is a huge partner of ours. We have received money from the Illinois Community College Board for 3 years now. The first year they funded 50 internships. Last year they funded 75 of those 243, and this year they're going to fund 100. Unless I overstep myself, I don't think anybody else in the state of Illinois is getting those results in the partnerships with their community college. So we appreciate Dr. Heinrich and Dr. Somm. Before Dr. Heinrich, we have had what I call a, partnership with them from day one. And they are critical to the advancement of skill because that is the logical place that students will go after graduation if they are not going the university route. And again, most of the students that we're serving in those school districts, we are again looking at only about 25 to 30% that immediately go from high school graduation to university. So Elgin Community College is critical in that model. When you look at just how many hours have been invested right now, and that's why this data is a little bit different. We don't count this until the new fiscal year. I'm going to confuse you to death, but that 729,000 is going toward when I come back and talk to you again at the end of the school year, that number's in those numbers because those internships overlap June and July. Our fiscal year ends June 30th. So we always count the internships starting in July. So that's why you're seeing the volunteer hours go through the roof at over 17,000 because they've already put in 14,580 hours just to support these students. Let's talk a little bit about new internship programs and what's going on there. Todd alluded to some of these programs earlier. This just gives you an idea of all the new programs that were created to get to the 243 internships. There's two pieces to the challenge of creating internship programs for high schools. One is getting companies to take students that are under 18. The second is being sure you've got enough offerings that you can spread these students because companies, I'll give you the perfect example, first responder. We decided to put 10 people. Well, guess what? Bartlett Police Department couldn't take 10 people for first responders. So what we did is we let Bartlett focus on the police safety and public safety piece. We let Hanover Park focus on fire and paramedics. So one group had them for 30 hours, then they transitioned for the other 30 hours. And then just to mix it all together, we had Hanover Township look at emergency management services and explain to students that role as a first responder. So anybody coming out of that first responder internship now understands what all the possibilities are. Some at the end of that decided I'm going police. Some decided on fire, but you see how you're exposing them. Our job in 60 hours is not to teach them everything they needed to know about being a civil engineer. It's about exposing them that they understand the difference between civil engineering and mechanical engineering. So you'll see the list of companies there, and we're continuing to grow that. As Todd mentioned, we're looking at AI this time. We're also looking at one in mental health. In mental health professionals, we are seeing significant forecast of gaps there within the next 10 years. So that is another internship we are adding in healthcare. I don't think Terry mentioned this or Todd, we had 1,000 applications for those 243 positions last year. 353 of them were on healthcare. And we all know healthcare, everybody's got shortages in healthcare. This area also has significant shortages in manufacturing. So most of our resources are focused. If I have to choose between an internship in culinary or an internship in healthcare, we're going to put the funding in healthcare just because the need is greater, if that makes sense. The next page I want to turn over, and Terry's going to talk about some of the expansion here and what's happening. But a lot of activity, a lot of work behind this. Yes, you got a question?
You want me to wait? It's just for her. So for mental health, is there a tech level for mental health that you're thinking of, a career level, or are you thinking PhD psychologist?
No, there's a combination of things, and we are showing one thing that I didn't clarify that I should clarify. People get confused about alignment. A lot of people will think alignment is to only prepare students for the trades. Then there are other people that think all we're doing is working on university-bound students, so they're more competitive if they want to get into nursing or they want to get into any form of medicine or advanced degrees. That is probably one of the hardest challenges of alignment. We work at all levels. So one of our critical goals is to show students that if you want a profession in healthcare, it can be as short as a certificate at ECC to actually go into medical school.
Mhm.
So that is a challenge as we show students that whole
And mental health.
range of pathways. And same thing with mental health there. But we're also finding, and we actually are making really good progress with industry advisory committees, working with Northern Kane County Region 110. And we had our largest healthcare institutions serve as in an advisory capacity back in November. One of the things across the board they're telling us is that students have got to have a foundation in mental health. Doesn't matter what profession they're in healthcare. They need that foundation. So we are working very hard to listen to that business community and make changes in the curriculum as quickly as we can, or add-ons to the curriculum that allow us to meet that.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay.
So how do we look at all this now? Obviously, the growth from 52 to 243 has been tremendous, but we want to continue to grow that. What are the areas that are in need in the community? So areas that we're currently looking at, as Nancy said, trying to expand on healthcare. Last year, Advocate Healthcare System took in 10 students for medical assistant. So when we look at those pieces, there are other supporting pieces that are also involved in there. And how do we get all those supporting pieces in place? We want to start to expand criminal justice and IT. When we started the first responder program 2 summers ago, it was done to push our community college into taking high school students into a program. Just this fall, we had 20 students start that program while they're still in high school to become first responders and doing fire science there at Elgin Community College. To give you an idea of how important that is or how big of an accomplishment that is, Elgin Community College was only graduating 18 students a year from that program. We just gave them 20 students from our high school to start that program, so doubling the size of that program just this past year. When we look at this, we also want to get into other community services and other county services as far as water reclamation, things like that, that our students have interest in. How do we do that? We are out networking. We're meeting in meetings like this. We're going to career fairs. We go and meet with our state legislators. We invite our state legislators and our county legislators to come in and see the activities and see things we have going on. And then, as Nancy said, we have advisory boards. We're inviting communities, partners in to give us their feedback. We had over 60 people in a room for 6 different career areas giving us their feedback on the curriculum that's currently being taught within the high school system. That's not happening in very many places across the state. So to have that great community sense and that partnership is tremendous for us in all senses. How do we continue to build upon that though? So as you've heard throughout this presentation, partnerships are our key. How do we continue to find partners? And Todd always reminds me that it's not just partners, it's the alpha partners that are actually going to get work done. We want to partner with people who are just like we are, and they're going out getting accomplishments and getting data metrics to increase or improve for our students and our communities. We would love to have any of the board members here or any committee members come out and visit the high schools, see what's going on and what's happening in all of those programs. Talk to the students who are having great success in these programs. So many of our students are, when they do these internships, are then getting hired on to continue working for many of these companies. We had a young man just 2 years ago, came out as a sophomore and interned. He said he wanted to go mechanical engineering. We said, great. We put him in an engineering internship. And he came out and he goes, oh my God, I can't do this for my entire life. This past summer, he came and interned with us in finance and accounting and said, I've now changed my college major to do finance and accounting because I like that more than I like the mechanical engineering piece. We also have students that are doing veterinary science who are getting hired on. We have a couple of our first groups of veterinary science students who are now graduating vet school down at the University of Illinois. So these programs are both college bound and those students who aren't quite sure yet. How do we give them that extra support to make those choices, but also support some of our students who need that financial support? Partner them up with companies who are willing to pay for college. So students who and families who thought they couldn't afford college can now afford that. This is one of the main reasons why we have our internships being paid, because it helps support those families who need that money throughout our communities. What we're looking for with some of this is how do we expand that internship placement? We would love for this committee to be able to go back to all your departments, companies you work with throughout the county, throughout the region, and say, hey, are you willing to take a high school intern? What does that look like? Here's the person to contact with Northern Kane and with Alignment on how that might look. And how do we work together in partnership to make that happen? For us, for those internships, we're out every day throughout the month of June and July, checking in on those interns, checking in on the companies. How do we help support the interns and support the companies to make this a successful effort? To be able to give out 243 paid internships, like Nancy said, it was putting out over $240,000. We feel that that's worth it to build on that community effort, to build on that workforce development. This is an investment in workforce development and in our communities across the region. One of the biggest things that we would like to have, I know on your agenda coming up later on here, I saw that you have some votes coming up on WIOA. I was had the pleasure of meeting Adam for the first time this morning, so it's a great connection there. How do we continue to work together? Because before Adam came on, the focus has really been on out of school youth. Once kids are out of school, it's so much harder to track them down and get them involved in programs like this. How do we work together in partnership with the county committee, with Adam and WorkNet to get kids hooked while they're still in school and show them that pathway? How do we work together on funding sources, on grant ideas, on all those pieces that we can do that together? So thank you very much. We'll take any questions you might have.
Since I'm the chair of the committee, I have my questions first, and I know we have a
Absolutely.
lot because you know, our brains are swirling. I love you guys. I've been to multiple of your events, at different places, and always walk away just blown away. So, if you guys can start like making sure we get the information ahead of time, I think there'd be more people that would want to come. I guess my first question that I don't want you to answer is, how do we clone the three of you on the southern part of Kane County?
You're here. Yeah.
I will say this.
Don't answer
Well,
that.
my partner in Southern Kane County, her and I work very closely together.
Yes.
Cassie Blickham at Valleys. Just talked to her yesterday on things, and we do share ideas and share. When I have kids or I have companies that approach me that are in Cassie's region,
Mhm.
I turn them over to Cassie. So there is a lot of collaboration and once again, partnership with the southern part of the county as well.
Next time we'll invite her with you.
Yeah,
I have 4
let's-
questions,
oh,
so
Pardon
you're
me.
just gonna have to wait. Your meeting
Excusez-moi.
went too long.
Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît.
We do this all the time. She runs her meetings over and then, so that's one. Of course, you just mentioned our workforce development, and we have pretty much reinvented that department for a lot of reasons, and I really think that partnerships with our youth and through workforce, and Adams comes from a background of at Wavansie Community College, so I think there's some great opportunities there. So I purposely made sure you were both in the room today. He had to be
Best
here.
laid plans, right?
Absolutely. Is there things that our regional board of education should be or does to help with these kind of alignment or, these kind of things?
So-
Because they also come and report to us every month, so.
Yeah, so we just started talking with Dr. Jonik about that. Yeah, we've met with him a couple times now. Him just coming into his role, kind of middle of last year. We are scheduling meetings with him to coordinate some of those things. And how do we help support efforts that he's doing with Department of Juvenile Justice? How do we get more of that involvement there, and how we can support one another?
Yeah, because I think, I know myself personally across Kane County, I've seen a big gap of how each of our school districts approaches the CTE programs, and some have really amazing things. Some are really good at welding and some are good at something else. But if we could like mirror everybody else and do the best of the best in all our schools, that would be cool. And then my last question is, we've been talking at the county about paid internships, and it hasn't gotten real far because we had to get through our budget. And first of all, is there like an age limit, like as you're putting these programs into all these different places, do any of them say, oh, I can't take your kids because they're 17, or?
We do have some of that. I want to go back and touch on the first thing you said first, as far as programming goes across the high schools. So this is year 6 for me as the executive director. Years ago, when I was in a role in one of those districts, we know that we cannot duplicate every program at every high school. One, because there's just not enough students at every individual high school. So this is where we came up with the idea of regional programming. So we have students that move between high school districts to go and take classes and be able to collaborate on those things, right? And be able to save funding to have other programming pieces as well. So we do have that going on. We have students that come from U46 and 300 to 301 in Burlington for veterinary science. We have students that go to Elgin High and Hampshire High for welding. They go to South Elgin and Hampshire for manufacturing. We have students going to Hampshire for education. So because there are not enough teachers, Adam and I were talking about this a little bit, the number of teachers that are out there that are qualified to teach in these areas is dwindling as well. So the collaboration and the corroboration with all those programs is going to be vital with that. Now, going back to the other piece as far as the students, I think it's a matter of educating our companies, because we do hear quite often, well, I can't take them because they're not 18. The hospital has a 16-year-old limit on when interns can go in there, as far as volunteers can go in there. That's a hospital requirement there. But some of the ones that say I can't take them because they're not 18, then I have to work with them on, well, no, when it's an internship, we're not asking you to turn a student loose. We're asking you to have a student paired up with a mentor and work with that mentor to see what the job is really about. So you're not just getting an employee for that short time. You're getting someone to job shadow for a long-term job shadow. We explain it's a long-term job interview for our students. The other piece, though, is explaining to companies that we can work with them, that the insurance from the high schools covers that student while they're out on site, because it is an extension of programs that they are currently involved in. So educating the business world on those things. And then we get into things like OSHA requirements. We get into things like apprenticeship programs. And if a company has an approved apprenticeship program, it lowers the age to age 16 for those students in that program. So how do we continue to work together and educate all sources out there on what can and can't be done? And I'll be honest, it takes a number of years for some companies to come around to, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to take an intern on, because do they have the right person in place to mentor that student? Do they have the right curriculum for many things? Hoffer Plastics in South Elgin is a great partner of ours. They rotate the students through, I think, 6 different departments within the company. So students get an idea of what the company does as a whole, not just one department or another. So there are pieces that we work with those companies, and even we're happy to come and talk with any of the county departments on, what would it take? We do have some grant funding right now to help kind of seed that and get that started. And we'd be happy to talk more about that.
Okay, and you just don't leave.
So yeah, so the students are not only getting the stipend for the hours that they do, but they also get academic credit for summer school class that they're participating in. So that's why it's important that they're coming out of a program of study within our high schools for that insurance to cover them while they're out on site. Out of 243, all 243 successfully completed the program last year. So we're very proud of that fact because we have students who are making the right steps. And as I said, companies, Wintrust Bank took 5 or 6 students. So doubling that number, but then those students they've hired on to stay throughout the whole summer.
Mhm.
And they've told students, well, when you come back from college, we'll hire you back on again to stay in this work and continue to build those opportunities for students.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, and don't leave after, stay for the rest of our meeting.
You got it.
Mr. Young.
David Young. Couple of questions. To start off with, how does your company make money? I mean, how do you guys feed your families, or are you just doing this for free? So I'm just curious on how you guys do that. But another question I have is, and then how many are you? Just 3 of you guys with this Alignment Collaborative company? So just let me know about that. The other question I have is, I'm involved with manufacturing. So I sell components and equipment used for manufacturing, think of the robotics world. Duquesne is a big account that I work with right down the street. Are you guys talking to companies like that? There's a number of people in St. Charles, especially that east side of St. Charles, that are smaller companies that could use and want, more people. And it's always an issue for these companies to get electricians, just people to run a machine tool. Right? You buy a Haas CNC, they don't have anyone to run it. Or they've got to have an engineer run it. And instead of the engineer designing the equipment, he's got to run the machine. So if that is a big issue, just wiring panels. So I guess the first question is, how do you guys make this money? And then secondly, you can ask the other question I had too.
So I can touch on a couple things there. We'll go back to how we're funded. So Northern King County is a collaborative that was put into school code in the state law that we are required to have this. Because I handle all of the federal grant dollars and all the state grant dollars, our positions are paid out of those grants to run these programs. Make sure that programs are running efficiently and effectively throughout our high schools. So I meet with those district directors once a month to go through that. But our funding is and our salaries are coming out of that grant money that we currently get. When I took over, we were at about $1.6, $1.7 million. Now we're closer to $3 million because we've been able to streamline programs. We get our funding from the State Board of Education, been able to build on that. So it's based off of how many students we have in programs throughout the area. So as we've grown number of programs, number of students, that funding has increased with about 85% of that money going back to our schools. So we're really taking only 15% to cover our office expenses and build these programs and build off of that. So I'm trying to be as fiscally responsible as possible. I'm gonna let Todd talk about a little bit about the business partners on the south or the east side of St. Charles there as far as that goes.
And by all means, Nancy, if you want to come on up as well, you can. So what you bring up is exactly the work that we do, and how it begins is we're going out and we're meeting with these businesses and their companies, and we're touring with them, and we're really looking to learn about them, like what makes them run, what makes them best in class, what are they most proud of, what are their biggest struggles they have with employment. And then many times these business owners, just like, I'll be honest, even I did when I was superintendent for a while, like high schools do a really good job and they're preparing them, and then they go to community college and they learn the real skills, or they go off to college and get this. And the aha moment is that our students are running 5 access mills. They're getting certifications. They're coming out of high school with industry level certifications where they're getting hired full-time by companies, and they're saying, you will be our apprentice and now we will continue your education afterwards. So based on those discussions that you brought up, it's interesting you brought up robotics, because every company is saying they're having issues with industrial maintenance. They need to make sure their machines are on uptime. And so we've launched a new automation, mechatronics and robotics strand, both in District 300, a pathway where students can go to from various districts, and District 301. And our students are earning FANUC certifications and actually working with FANUC robotic arms. And then one of our leading industry partners that's coming on and will be taking interns is Matrix. So, and Matrix does a lot of that with their cells in automated production. And so our students are coming out with these experiences, working with technicians on the floor. So they're gaining real world experience working with the engineers and the techs. And then it makes their education so meaningful because now they're able to apply it. And what happens is now these companies love it. What's the return on investment for them? They're finding that they're having a better pool of candidates. They're growing their own through the interns, because when they have these interns, they might be like, we want to hold on to these 4. We want to hold on to 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. And then they keep them on and growing. And so it's really through the success that we've had, success breeds success. So when one company has a really good experience, then they refer you to their partners. That's kind of how it grows.
So could he give them your business card?
Oh, by all means. And
Because he sounds like a person that
Right.
knows some people that you need. to
right.
connect
And we
with.
don't go into it like, hey, do us a solid. We go into really learning about what drives them. And then are we the right fit? And if we're not the right fit, we'll point them to the right fit. But many times we can be the right fit.
Does that answer your question on them? And then Nancy will talk to you about the alignment.
I'll talk a little bit about the funding model for alignment. People tell us all the time that it was incredibly innovative. I think it was a necessity. One of the things we wanted, the governing board initially said is that they wanted the majority of the funding coming from the business community so that we could push and direct the work. So we're about 65% funded by the business community, 35% by the school districts. That is probably our biggest challenge right now to growth, is where the funding's coming from a standpoint of staff and also in just the stipend internship piece. Those are our 2 biggest challenges. But we like that 65-35 model. Because it allows us to take donations as a 501c3 that can then be turned around to stipends for the students, and we can pay the students. If we had tried to put that model just in the school districts, I think we would have struggled just because of the bureaucracy of how that process works. But again, we have some big people behind us that have, like Hoffer Foundation, consistently donating for 10 years, Siegel Foundation. Wintrust says we'll pay all of them for you. Athletico, we want to pay them. So it's a combination of different models. We're also incredibly flexible. No model fits every company or organization, so we make the funding model fit that particular company. We also try to take the headache away. They're only going to have them for 60 hours, and a lot of people don't want to mess with having to put them on the payroll, process the W-2s, all of that. So the way we do it is they're set up where they receive a 1099 for that funding. If a company decides to keep them beyond the 60 hours of the internship, then they need to go through their regular employment process. So it's a combination.
Yeah, Ms. Bates.
How does the 60 hours work?
The 60 hours is a minimum. And
But
so it's,
I mean, that's a week and a half of,
it depends.
or is it spread out?
For example, Hofford Plastics is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 3.
Okay.
Okay, for Advocate Sherman, they need us in and out of there in the month of June because the hospital is stretched on staff during July and holidays. So we put all 40 hours for pharmacy, for medical rotation and medical assisting. This is like 35 interns at Advocate Sherman. We're putting them through that model in the month of June.
So it's
June is
15 hours a week?
Yes, anywhere, most of them, we have very few that are 40 hours a week. Most of them are 30 at the max
So 2
per week. So 2 weeks. And I kind of like to have them at least 2 weeks because sometimes we need to work on some of the interpersonal skills, the
Uh-huh.
presentation skills, we need a little bit of time to polish some of them. And that allows us to do that.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
All right, other questions? Okay,
Well, I'm gonna,
go ahead.
you already brought this up. What can we be doing in the southern half of the county?
Yes, exactly.
So,
And you're right, Cassie is great, but she's just one person, and I think we need to get more robust in the southern part of the county. So
Madam
if you
Chair.
guys have great suggestions for us.
We can talk about that after the meeting there.
Yes,
Go through some of that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
All right.
I was at the Wabansi's new industrial building and it's gorgeous with, it's almost like a suite for the welders and a suite for the.
Well, I will tell you that we had a chance to go and tour the new facility that's getting ready to open here at ECC in the fall.
Uh-huh.
And it's pretty exciting over there as well. So definitely if you, in September, I think is their grand opening for that space for manufacturing, HVAC, welding. I can't say enough about the hard work that our partners at ECC have done to put that facility together. And it's going to be great to see our students have that opportunity coming up here starting in the fall.
But may I, your interns are all high school level. They're
Correct.
not at the,
Correct. Right now, we focus on the
college
high
level.
school students. Our main
makes
focus
sense.
is to get kids so they don't leave for that 10-year period. We get them started in a career, show them what's going on, get them some networking and some career options. Like I said, we've had students who went in thinking they were going to do mechanical engineering and they come out and they go, I hate this. We had one just this past summer, went in thinking he was going to go mechanical engineering and figured out that he wants to do more electrical engineering and robotics. So that's the kind of work that we're doing. Or for a student who wants to do engineering, but let's be honest, not a lot of us like math at that level. There are other jobs as far as industrial maintenance and technology that are still considered engineering jobs across our companies within the region.
Yeah.
So how do we find students those opportunities as well?
Thank you.
States we've made for years, and it's not just Illinois, it's Georgia, it's South Carolina, it's everywhere.
Microphone,
We-
please.
We have accepted that it's okay for the average age in community colleges to be 27 or 28. When you start running the numbers on those people being underemployed for multiple years after high school, we are missing a great opportunity there. We're already seeing us close that gap. Peggy Heinrich talked the other day about their average age at ECC, how quickly it's going down. A lot of their enrollment growth has been dual credit, or students exiting right out of high school, not stopping their training process and going on directly to ECC. So you're not seeing the average age at ECC right this moment at 27. It is significantly declining. To me, that is a measure of success and productivity, that we are bringing that number down and students are entering the workforce earlier in the whole model, because that has been a huge problem across the nation about people waiting too long to figure out what they want to do and to get trained in that particular profession. So I think that's a sign that this model is working. It's going to take a few more years to be sure, but that number is really declining.
Thank you, members of the board, Madam Chair. Thank you very much for the
Oh,
opportunity.
absolutely.
Thank
Hang
you.
around a few minutes. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, thank you
I have
so
a
much.
comment. I went to Wabansi when I was 34. Late bloomer. Yeah.
All right, our second order of business under our Jobs Committee is Kane County Economic Development Initiatives. I see John had to leave. Chris?
Chris Toth speaking. Yeah, just a couple quick updates. In your packet, John included an article from DCO announcing just some of the economic development highlights from the state in 2025. So that's in there for your reading. John also mentioned he'll be available next month to answer any questions on the major developments the major development projects report he's put together annually. This is the second year he's done it. It's sorted by municipality. It's very comprehensive and very labor intensive. So we really appreciate his work on that. So if you have any questions, we'll have him back in February for that. Other than that, the economic development team is spread paper thin. We're a lot of things in motion right now and really excited things to share in the next couple of months. So please look forward to it.
And for those of you that hadn't noticed, the logo of the new Kane County Economic Development Corporation is on his sheet here. So kudos to the whole group that put
A
this
river
together
runs
and
through it?
yes,
Cool.
yes, exactly, because
Cool.
that's exactly what it is. The river
Yeah.
runs through it. Good catch.
Mhm.
All right, and then next,
Mhm.
we haven't had anything from our workforce development in quite a while, and so here he is. But before we turn it over to him, I just want to tell you that the two resolutions that are on this agenda were actually approved at the full board on Tuesday, so we are not going to do anything with them here.
What?
They got approved the other day. They kind of got,
There's a mix up and again.
Yeah.
Put on.
so it's fine. They got put on the agenda. They were
Heck,
approved by the full board on
afterwards?
Tuesday.
All right.
Take your vote back, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, so we don't have to do that. But I did want to make sure that Adam shared with us what's going on at workforce development. And did you bring us the org chart?
I did. I emailed it to you yesterday.
Okay.
I did print up a couple of copies. If
Okay.
anybody would like one, I've got 5 copies that I'm
Sounds
happy to
perfect.
share.
Thank you.
So this initial org chart was in regards to the 2 positions that have already been approved.
Mhm.
I'm glad to know. And just really beginning to look at the first phase of realignment within workforce development to address the corrective action plan that was brought forth by DCO and the Workforce Development Department. The 2 positions, one, it also kind of demonstrates a realignment. Prior to this, all personnel reported directly through the assistant director. Only finance and the assistant director reported directly to the director. As we begin to flatten the reporting structure, business services, which will be renamed Industry Partnerships Manager, will be reporting directly to me, along with finance, and along with repositioning of our performance and compliance manager. In order to be able to address some of the internal and external auditing capabilities of the program, which was cited through the DCO corrective action plan, it's very evident that the department needs to bolster its internal and external auditing, which falls under, performance and compliance. One of the new positions, a new trainer position, is being added to that. But we currently have one individual, the current compliance and performance manager, who is partially responsible for not only auditing internal and external partnerships, but also onboarding new employees and the use of the state compliance systems. It's very intensive, which this new position will free up her time to be able to increase the oversight within the department. Goal, obviously, to catch any issues that may occur before they increase to the level of state DCO. So myself, as director, will be coordinating compliance and performance management through that individual. The other position was a senior accountant position. One of the major focuses of the corrective action plan were the flaws and errors and compliance within our fiscal monitoring. We have made extraordinary strides through the current fiscal manager, Kim Stauber, to correct those issues. We are still discovering new things every day and correcting them as quickly as possible. The senior accountant position will increase our capabilities to be able to rectify those fiscal issues, but also increase the number of subgrantees and partners that we're able to bring on. As the fiscal manager, King County, we process all of those reimbursements for all of our partners, much like any other grant. We subcontract out with partners to be able to provide the services throughout the 3-county area. Our department serves Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb counties. And so to increase that, we need to have greater fiscal capacity to be able to process those. So this new position will bolster those opportunities within the program. This is the first phase. There will be additional realignments to make sure that we are being more responsive to our partners' needs, to decentralize some of the programming and be able to be more responsive to what each of the 3 different counties' needs are, but also to increase our partnerships with community service providers to be able to really get these resources out into the communities and to the individuals they were intended to serve.
Couple questions. I didn't see a grant writer position on here. Are we still using the county grant writer?
Most of the grants are written internally.
Okay,
With Paul Kofer being on staff now, the next grant cycle, we will be working collaboratively. I actually was in conversation this afternoon with Paul with a grant that they're currently looking at.
so is
as-
he on your staff now? or
No, he
he's
is not.
still-
He is.
he's county
I
staff
believe He's
still?
county staff, yes. But there's the linkages and the relationships are being
No,
built
that's-
to,
that's
yeah.
fine.
But traditionally, the Department of Workforce Development writes and submits those grants.
Okay, and then I have one other question before I turn it over. There had been some training that your group was getting through, I think, DCEO,
Correct.
and is that ongoing, continuing training?
Yes.
Okay.
So all of the funding that comes into the Department of Workforce Development is federal pass-through grants that is coordinated through DCEO to service our local workforce investment area, which is Elwea number 5, which serves, as I mentioned, Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb counties. And so there's ongoing technical assistance through DCEO with the corrective action plan. In more intensive training is currently going on at the end of this month. We will be taking staff to Kankakee for a collaboration training on new systems, ensuring that we're meeting the requirements for that corrective action plan to get back to good standing.
Okay, and then I have one more question.
Of course.
I had sent email, I believe, to you and Jasmine. How are our kiosks doing? Are we getting any numbers yet of how many times they're getting visited and those kind of things?
I would have to have, I know that this week, 2 additional kiosks were placed in the Yorkville Library and another one with Kendall Grundy Regional Office. Those specific numbers of usage, I would have to be able to forward that to you. When I get back to the office, I'll be able to do a
Okay.
lookup
If you
on
would
it.
do that, or I can send you an email if you'd like, whichever.
If you've already sent an email, I apologize if I missed it, but
I
we'll
don't
be
know
able
what
to
you've
get
been
that.
doing. No, that's good. You want me to send you an email though, just so you remember?
I wrote it down. I'll
Awesome.
make sure that it
Perfect.
happens this
Yeah, if you
afternoon.
could just let us know, either send an email back or next month, but I think we're all kind of curious about our successes there.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
All right. Questions?
Nope. Not at the moment.
Oh, we did them at Human Services the other day? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 That's good then. So I was told that we do have to vote on these resolutions to get them to finance.
Bates moves.
Wait, I didn't hear that.
Oh. So these were approved at Human Services. And so they've got to go to jobs and then they've got to go to finance next. So we do have to approve them here. So they go on to finance.
So they got approved by the board.
No.
They got
No.
approved by Human Services.
So you were.
Yeah, so-
A
Okay.
mistake, a small mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, not the
Got
full
it.
board.
Okay, good.
services.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it
Okay.
does. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Strathman will second.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, since we, yes.
Hi, is it on? Yes, just a procedural comment. We really need to make sure that when we have multiple committees sponsoring any kind of agendas or resolutions, that we track it, that this has gone to Human Services. Next step, it goes to your committee, et cetera, et cetera. So we know the approval process. It has to be. I think we all have to just remember all of the committee chairs to track it and make sure it's on your agenda so that we know where it's going and having it go forward. Just simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, simplicity.
Okay.
Okay,
Am I moving just one of these
Yes.
first?
Yeah, so
Okay.
yes, yeah.
26,041.
And that's the resolution authorizing the creation of a program training specialist position for the Workforce Development Department, and it's funded through the Workforce Development Innovation and Opportunity Act. WIOA.
Yeah.
And we had a motion, we had a second.
yes,
Yes, Strathman seconded.
Okay, if there's no questions, let's call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
on the left, Allen,
Allen, aye.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
did
Okay,
you?
and then,
sorry.
our next resolution is
Roth
authorizing.
needs, Roth needs.
You
to
lost
vote.
quorum, so you have to add me in.
I apologize, Roth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Young had to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then the second one is a resolution authorizing the creation of a senior staff accountant position in the workforce development funded through WIOA again.
Bates moves.
Roth will
Strathman
second.
seconds.
Okay, Strathman seconds. Thank you. Any questions? Call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes. All righty. Yes, now to move to finance. Okay. Any new business? Okay. I need a motion to place the reports on
Roth
file.
would request unanimous approval to put the reports on file.
Any objections? Seeing none?
And then
I believe we do have to have an executive session,
Roth will motion to go into closed session to discuss
and this is for the release
release
of
of closed session minutes.
Thank you.
It's really the semi-annual review of closed meeting minutes.
Semi-annual.
And Lewis will second that.
They removed. You had said.
You guys need to leave the room. Yeah, and it'll be very quick.
Are we done?
I'm gonna call roll call.
No, we got to go into closed
We'll
session.
go into closed session.
Should they just leave?
Yeah.
Go on with their lives?
No.
You're not gonna do anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Bates,
Here.
closed session. Yeah. Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Lewis.
Yes. Okay. Please call the roll to go back into open session.
Bates,
Yes. I'll get it. I'll
And-
get it.
Genesis,
Dennis is here.
Strathman,
Sorry, here.
thank you. Allen,
Alan present.
Roth,
Roth here.
yes.
Who's here? All right. Then we need a,
I'll make a motion that we release closed session minutes as stated in Appendix A.
Genesis will second.
No discussion. Can we call the roll?
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Lewis.
Louis, yes. And then last but not least. we
Roth
need-
would make a motion to
I
adjourn.
need a motion to adjourn.
Roth would make a motion to
Bates,
adjourn.
second.
Wonderful. Everybody have a great weekend and thank you.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hi. Bye,
Bye,
aye.
Cheryl.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ted,
Feel
hope you
better.
feel better.
Ted.
Thank you. I'm
Thank you,
I'm
Cheryl.
fine. I don't want to get anyone sick.
Thank you.
No, thank you. We don't want to get sick.
Yeah.